Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dean Rogers. Welcome back to the Dean Rogers Show. We've got a very special guest today, Bob Lachance. Bob, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, brother. Long time no see.
I know. Dude, it's great to catch up with you. And what I love about this show is just unpacking people's stories. You've got an incredible story of where you came and where you're at now. And we were just saying before the show, it's Groundhog's Day. We're just another day, more solutions to problems we're solving and knocking out wins and all that kind of good stuff. So guys, you're going to want to hear Bob's story because Bob played professional hockey for 8 years. He's done over 1,500 transactions. He's helped start several big, massive national education programs. He's got a virtual assistant company, Riva Global, who has over 1,000 VAs who we're going to dive into all that. And this past year did 166 transactions. This year is going to be pretty much darn near the same in 15 different markets. I mean, come on. We got some stuff to talk about here. So if you guys want to check out Bob on Instagram while we're talking, you can go to Riva Global VA and check out their Instagram there. That's Riva Global VA. And dude, let's get into it. So much good stuff to talk about.
All right, where do you want me to start?
Yeah.
So I'm not young anymore. So
let's get to it. So the natural place I like to start is how you got started in real estate. It wasn't just right out of college or the first job you did. You were in pro hockey for 8 years. So let's start there, man. Like, let's unpack that and talk about that whole part of your life.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I did not learn though back in the day was business. You're sitting in the locker room, you know that, right? You're sitting with the guys for. Back in the day, it's a lot different than it is now. There's so many resources online, which is fantastic, right? Back, let's go back. This is back in 2004 when I retired. I tried to figure out what was next. I went to Boston University for 4 years, but I left 2 classes short of getting my degree. So, you fast forward, I was always in the mindset where I said, you know what? I could always go back and get those 2 classes. I could always go back. And then obviously, before you know it, I didn't go back. It's 8 years later. And I said, oh, shit, what do I do? So I looked at all these different industries where I did not need a college degree to jump into. So real estate always came to the forefront, and decided I was a real estate investor after I retired. And my first deal, I actually I knew nothing about real estate. I bought a book, like a all about real estate, but all about really nothing. Just gave you a kind of a broad stroke of what real estate was. And one thing I know you have. A lot of individuals that listen to this podcast. The most important thing that I did is I took a little snippet of an action item in there, and I did it. So it was farming areas. I know you talk about this in your coaching program as well. It's getting in the car and driving around neighborhoods and looking at properties that maybe it needs a new roof, the grass is overgrown, it's dilapidated, needs work, etc. So
drive for
this
dollars.
property, drive for dollars. So this property happened to be listed. So I picked up the phone and I called the agent. Again, I didn't have an agent. I didn't sign an agreement with an agent. I really didn't know what the hell real estate agents were, to be honest with it, because I just kind of, jumped into the game. I knew what an agent was, of course, but you get it. And so I called the agent myself and I said, hey, listen, what's the property listed for? They said, it's $185,000. I said, perfect. I'll put an offer at $145,000. So they're like, all right, put an offer. Here's how you do it. Sent an offer and they accepted it. And I was like, uh-oh. I didn't know, I didn't know what to do. I learned it from this book. You got to understand, I really did not know what to do. So, ended up, I put a little money away. But I actually borrowed money from a bank. I used my own money to rehab it. Rehab was about $30,000. Ended up flipping it and made $32,000. Took me about 2 months to get that check, but I realized I had zero systems. You and I were talking a little bit about your coaching program and what you offer. I wish I had that. I had nothing. Like I didn't know how to set up a business, right? I had no idea on the steps to actually take. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to, acquire properties. But the other thing I did learn in the book was join your local real estate association. So I'm in Connecticut, so I joined my association. I saw an individual speak on short sales, and I'm like, all right, now I'm a short sale investor. I bought their course, and then the next time I went back to that CTRIA, a networking event, and I know you teach on networking as well, which is extremely important. You got to tell everybody what you do. You got to shake hands. You got to let everybody. Yep. So I asked everybody, I said, who is the best person in Connecticut for short sales? And they pointed at the same guy. His name was Pat Precourt. Great dude. I was partners with him for 10 years. Yep. And I think you met me. I think you met Pat too as well. Yeah. Yep.
That's so cool.
So I went up to him. I'm like, Pat, you have no idea who I am. I'm not looking for a job per se, but I'm looking to join a team. Do you have any openings? I'm not looking for a paycheck. I'll earn my own way. He said, I'm actually looking for a door knocker. This is back in 2004. Like, what the hell's a door knocker, right? And anyway, so he gave me a list of pre-foreclosure properties, individuals that are losing their houses. And I door knock from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, every freaking day, right? Or every week. Yeah. So I don't recommend anyone. You don't have to do that anymore because the internet, you got.
Dude, you cut your teeth on some of the nittiest, grittiest, hustler type of strategies, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's funny. My mindset was, listen, if I end up not working with this individual for a long period of time, at least I understand how the business runs from ground up. That was my mindset. So, like I said, we had back in the day, there weren't coaching programs like they have now, right? Like your program goes step by step by step by step. I didn't have that, or at least I didn't know it was available at that time. So, ended up then I was a short sale investor, and I was negotiating with banks, and fast forward from there, we started our first real estate education program in 2006, and then 2007 helped start Fortune Builders with our buddies, right in your area. And Pat and I were responsible for, running the back of the whole coaching program, right? Helping create curriculum, et cetera, and coaching students. And while I was running my own real estate investment company, throughout the years, pretty interesting. I was always looking for, not only my own business, but the students. We probably went through 10, 20, 30,000 students, right? And there was a common theme. Everyone was either working part-time, full-time, or needed help in their business. So, think about this. If you're still playing football and you want to do real estate full-time, you still need someone to do all of those tasks to get done, right? If you're working, if you're an accountant, if you're in sales, whatever you're in, you need someone to help. And I was like, always looking years, like 1 year would go by, next year would go by. I was looking for a solution, whether it was a software, whether it was people, like what did it look like? And finally, 2013, I got introduced to what a virtual assistant was. I'm like, what the hell is a virtual assistant? Because in the real estate agent world, it was more commonplace there. And then a light bulb went on. So I hired my first one. I'm like, you know what? I want to test this in the real estate investing space. So because it really wasn't around at that time. And I got a business partner at that time, back in 2014. And then we tested it for 2 years. It worked. I'm like, all right, fantastic. Now there's an industry for that. So fast forward today, we're at 1,000 VAs, and I use my virtual assistants, my own company, to run my real estate office, which is through this wall over here.
Nice.
So long and short.
Well, you definitely breeze past some like super, super juicy things there. Let's back up for a second. I want to talk about your transition from professional hockey, which was 8 years. That's a long time to be out of the professional world, out of the education system. So, unless you were, studying at night on other businesses and stuff, you probably had very little tangible skills to go put out in the marketplace, so to speak, which is the real world where you either make it or you don't. And it's pretty unforgiving. So I know for me, like my transition, it was like, I got no time to waste. I got to get after it. I got to hustle. And that was my skill set, is hustle. I got energy to provide. How was your transition for you? And like, how difficult was it? How did you navigate it? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, my transition wasn't easy. I mean, we talked a little bit about this, playing professional sports and going through that transition is very difficult, I'll be honest with you. The one thing that we do have going for us, we work our butts off.
Yeah.
We are, we set a goal, like we're very goal oriented, goal driven. So for me at the beginning, it was tough because it was, my goal was I was going to be a real estate investor. Once I said that, it didn't matter. So I got my car, I'm driving, I'm, farming neighborhoods, driving for dollars and making offers because that's what the book told me. A little course told me. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take action no matter what. If you're moving forward, something good's going to happen.
Did you have to get in a special, did you have to get in a special mindset, or is it just the normal, I'm a professional athlete, I understand what it takes to be a professional athlete, so my mindset's already geared to be focused and driven, and so I know I need to do something next. I believe real estate's the vehicle, so I'm just going to apply this effort and mindset.
Yeah, my pain button was I didn't want to go back to school.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think about it. I was in a lockdown. I was in Europe for 4 years, and you don't have a network over here. So I had zero network. Wow. I went to Boston University, but I'm living in Connecticut, so there's no network from Boston to Connecticut, right? And I didn't tap into it. I hardly went to school. You're trying to make the NHL. It's just
I was the same way. I was the same way. If I could go over and do college again, which, by the way, if I were to do life again, I'd start in real estate sooner.
Me too. Me too.
Skip school, skip the NFL, even though that was, all great experiences. Like, I'd skip all that and get started in real estate sooner.
I agree.
But that being said, hindsight 2020, I mean, those are great things to highlight because for someone listening, they might be going through school right now. And when you get into the real world, it's not about what your grades were. It's about those relationships. Right.
And I think to add to that, I think it's taken that extra time. And this is one thing I wish I could go back. Like you said, for anything, what we do, there is off time. Right. So grab a book, grab a podcast, join into a coaching program. There's all these little things that you can do that compound on each other. One of the reasons why I started my VA company was the book Compound Effect, right? By Darren Hardy. And everything you do compounds on each other. So maybe it's listening to your podcast every time it's available, right? Whatever it is, read books, talk to people. There's a lot of communities on Facebook. Join all of those communities because there's people that are doing deals. Make sure you listen to them. But we were talking a little bit about some of the losses too that we've had because there's not only wins, there are losses. And I've made a couple losses myself, but make sure you educate yourself first. It's important.
Yeah. Well, let's touch on those. So obviously you kind of breezed through your story of you started doing the hard work. You had the right mindset, which is, I think, for most people starting out, the biggest thing they have to overcome is their own personal, self-worth, self-value, and having the right mindset that I just got to go after it. No matter what I got to do, I'm going to accomplish it. And so you had the right mindset and you applied similar to me. I heard Sean Terry's Flip to Freedom podcast. It was just sound in my ear. It wasn't a coaching program. It wasn't, a book I was reading, but for you read a book, you took action on what was said and started getting results. So let's talk about the losses, because I think a lot of people skip over those. They don't want to highlight those, but for me, those are some of the biggest learning lessons and easy to correct lessons, at least for mine. So let's talk maybe about one or two of yours and what were the biggest lessons you learned.
Yeah, you know what? I just want to touch upon that. You have, no matter what you do, you have to attach it to a why, right? Why are you doing this, right? I know it's a mindset game, but if it's not attached to a why or a purpose, you're going to be catching your tail. So I think I just wanted to, touch upon that a little bit because my why was I didn't want to have to go back to school. I didn't want people looking at me as a failure, right? That was my big why. My purpose is to keep going. So I just want to touch upon that. Couple failures, and one takeaway I want to say too, it's in this business. And one of the things I think that I did the right way at the beginning was give before you get. So I went up to Pat, and said, "Hey, Pat, what is it that you're looking for in your business?" I didn't try to jump them and just say, "Hey, push, push, push." I asked them first, "Hey, what can I give you before you give me anything?" And I think that sometimes, especially this day and age, people don't understand that the more you give, the more you get back. And
100%.
you know what I mean? Because we're in a look at me kind of world, right? I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to take a picture of myself, and I have my daughter that's taken 900 selfies. I'm like, what the hell are you doing with these things? And they're like, they post them on Instagram. It's like, oh, I got to hit my story, whatever the hell they call it now. But that's a little different. But anyway, all right, I'll get back to some of my fails. One of the biggest.
Before we get to the failure, though, I think that's. I mean, all the things that you're saying, which is crazy, right? Everyone's got these different stories, these different accomplishments, but how they got there, what are the things that are most important? You're just going to hear the same themes over and over and over again from people who are successful. And it's the relationships, it's the networking and the right mindset. And it's adding value to other people, the abundance mindset, the law of attraction. Like if you're a giver, it might feel counterintuitive. Like I really need right now. I need something. How can I give? Find a way to give, because it will come back to you in a larger quantity. So I've been living that, and I can preach it over and over again.
Yeah, and here people don't understand this, but everyone has a resource, right? Whether it's money or time, right? It doesn't matter. Like you'll have an individual in your market that wants to get in the business, but they have money but no time. Then use them, partner with them. They have money. You have time, right? Time and money are two resources that a lot of people, don't understand that they have. So that's a big takeaway when we're coaching students too. It's what resources do you have? Well, I don't have any. Well, let me ask you a question. So now you actually you pull back the onion, pull back the layers, and it's typically one of those two things: time or money. You always have a reason, or it could be your network. You could know people to bring people in, right, to raising money, etc. Which goes to one of my biggest failures, which is a $150,000 knockdown rebuild in Greenwich, Connecticut, down the street of Regis Philbin when he was alive back in the day. And I knew not. So I'm not just so everybody knows, the transactions we basically do are wholesaling, and maybe a couple of fix and flips. But I never, ever in my life did a knockdown rebuild. But I tried it because it was a can't miss deal. Mm-hmm. So my other takeaway is don't ever get involved with any deal if it's a can't miss deal, because it's always a miss. Yeah. And don't ever say, hey, you need to put this money down or the deal's going to go away. Don't do that. Trust me, I think you probably got one of the same stories.
My story is almost the exact same. It was a can't miss deal. We can start this project right away. It was outside of my sphere of expertise as well. It was a new construction, ground up, move dirt around and start building the house, and lost a little bit more than you on that single deal. But doing no deal is better than doing a bad deal. Like you don't have to do your next deal, even though your bank account might be screaming at you saying you need more money, and your circumstances, your environment's not where you want it. But it's going to be a whole lot worse if you do a bad deal. So don't rush into it. Make sure it's right, and make sure you're doing your due diligence there. For
sure. And then I think if I have to look at failures, I'd probably say not jump into real estate sooner. I know we talked a little bit about that, but going a step further, it's not holding property soon enough.
Yes.
And I think that's because you look at the markets, or even in an up market, buy a freaking property. If it rents out and it cash flows, buy the property. Who cares what you're buying it for? It doesn't matter. Of course, it's tied to financing. There's a lot of stuff that gets involved in there. But I would say that because, I started in 2004. We're almost 20 years past. Could you imagine if I bought 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties a year? Just, that little amount. It would be, you'd have them all paid off right now. You'd be sitting on, $30+ million in equity, right? So that would be my advice. Doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, start.
When you start to play the time game, it starts to get pretty scary. Like, oh my God, if I would have done. I started buying rentals 4 years ago, and I've been in the business 9 years. Had I started buying some of those early ones, oh my Lord, like those ones were deep discounted compared to the ones about 4 years ago. So
markets will always do this, right? They'll always go up and down. So it doesn't matter if markets are up or down. There's still always opportunities. by following a program like you teach with, you got to market, you got to acquire, you got to negotiate, right? It's all the same stuff you teach that is very, very important for, anyone like myself, if I'm brand new or just starting out in the business, part of the game.
Yep, exactly. So you're in 15 different markets. You've scaled your business to doing a substantial amount of deals every year. What's that look like? Like, what's your team look like? How did you develop the skills to be able to scale to that? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So like I said, when, helping start a couple real estate education programs, you get a lot of education, you get a lot of teaching. When you teach, you learn, right? When you teach, you learn a lot of, there's individuals online right now like Marshall Silver, like Andy Tanner. Just go on YouTube. I mean, there's just some really good people like that, which we've both seen on stage, right?
Yeah.
You and I have both seen a lot of those individuals on stage, which we're fortunate we got to do that. But the advice I would give right now, it's this is what I would do right now. If I'm getting started today, I would look at what's on YouTube and I would get a coach. I get a coach and a mentor. That's what I would do. And again, obviously I helped start a couple of those companies, so it's easier to jump into that. But then what I would do, so what my company looks like right now to be able to do those transactions, we have transaction coordinator. We have, I think, 6 acquisition individuals right now. We have a disposition individual. We have a office manager. I have 4 text messaging virtual assistants, and I have about 5 cold calling virtual assistants, like initial cold calling, and then 2 lead manager virtual assistants. So, and then myself and my business partner. So that's a little bit how my makeup looks like. But we didn't start like that. It was just me and Adam. And me and Adam is my real estate business partner. We didn't start like that. We started with just him and I. We started cold calling first, and then text messaging. Leads started coming in. And then that's when we started adding team members and adding. So, and again, I run a couple different companies. So I got I have part of my time's here and part of my time is obviously with my virtual assistant company.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. You've built a sizable team there, and you guys are cranking through deals. So what was it for you? What was that turning point as you went through doing your first couple, hustle deals and then kind of growing it from there? And what was the breakthrough moment for you that allowed you to start knocking these deals out?
Yeah. What I think is just believing in you can do a deal, right? It's wholesaling, right? When people look at what wholesaling really is, it's so easy that people complicate it. Yeah. It's very, very simple. It's getting a motivated seller, getting a property under contract, finding a buyer, and assigning that contract. That's it. Of course, there's some moving pieces in the middle of it, right? But there's a confidence to be able to negotiate that in the middle, which is very, very important, which a lot of people kind of get in their own heads on that side of it. But it's after doing the first couple deals, again, I started with Pat back in 2004, and I was doing short sales. I was doing my rehab first, then I got into doing short sales, and then on the wholesale side, to be honest with you, I really didn't start wholesaling until Adam. When I met Adam, and him and I started in 2018. That's another thing. If I would go back, I would start wholesaling right away. So I'm going to change my friggin' answer, dude. I'm going to change it. But to answer your question, what turned it around is when I decided I want to work with a team, because you can't work by yourself. I mean, you could work by yourself, but you're only going to accomplish 1 deal a month, 2 deals a month. And after that, this business will own you. You need to build a team around what your goals are. So if your goals are to do, 5 to 10, I can't say you can't, because that's not the right word, but it's going to be very difficult to do it all by yourself, because, you got title companies, you got, right, obviously escrow, you got marketing, you got acquisition, you got negotiation, you got all of this stuff that kind of, that you could do by yourself, but you will be overwhelmed, especially if you have a family. I mean, your wife will probably kill you if you're doing all these deals. You guys are doing 10 deals a month. She will kill you if you're doing this all by yourself, right?
Yes, no question about it. So what, man, that's a juicy nugget right there. So what does life look like for you from your own commitment of time and how you've structured your life because of that? Like what have you been able to do because you've built your team?
Yep. So just a little bit of how I do it. I have my virtual assistant stuff in the morning. So I'm here in Connecticut. And from about 9 a.m. to about 11, I do a lot of my virtual assistant work because my team's out of the Philippines. And so we do all of our team meetings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then every Thursday, we do a kind of a monthly review. And then after that, majority of this stuff is real estate or, work on my sales team on the virtual assistant side. So that's a little bit how I do it. And I would never be able to do this like we were just talking about before we jumped on is you're only as good as your team. And I always bring up team. Maybe it's our athletes in us, right? Because think about this. Yeah, you could have a very good quarterback, but if you don't have any wide receivers, not going to do anything. Doesn't matter how good you are or bad you are. It doesn't matter if it's Mahomes or not. You still need someone to throw the ball to, right? As an example. Yeah. It's the same thing in business. It's the same exact thing in business. You could be the smartest dude in the world, but if you don't have individuals that are working with you and together, you'll be limited on how you're going to make money. So it's the same kind of concept,
Yeah. So important. I mean, I know I've learned that throughout the years as well as the times in which I made the big strides is when I added people to the team and gave up the thing that I was really good at and really liked doing and was so passionate behind. There's no way I could give it up because I was spent all this time and effort to get skilled at it. There's no way I could give it up, but it wasn't until I started doing that each and every time that we were able to progress forward and do better. Profits went up even higher after getting out of my own way, right?
Yep. The biggest problem with that too is that we all think that we could do it the best.
Yeah.
And think about this. If you get it off your plate and someone does it 80% as good as you, gives a crap. Give it to them.
Yeah.
80% is better than you just spending 100% on this. Now you could go to somewhere else that you could spend 100%, then pull yourself out and add someone to 80%. It's a numbers game.
Yeah. 100%. So dude, let's unpack the sleeper of this whole thing, Riva Global. So dude, this is a substantial company, 1,000 VAs. Riva stands for Real Estate Virtual Assistant, right?
Yep.
And so Riva Global, you've got, how many clients do you guys have now?
I don't know how many clients we have, but we broke it up into real estate and we have a medical division too. So on the client side, so you probably, I think we have, I got to guess now, like over 400 on the real estate or over 400 on the med side and the rest are on the real estate side. So
you got a lot.
Because we do part-time and full-time. So we offer 20 hours a week and 40 hours a week. So that's a mix between all of them. But the number of clients, I don't know because some of them have multiple. We have
some have multiple. Yep.
Yeah. One of our individual clients has like 27 VAs and another one has 40. So we have, you know what I mean? So we have, it's a tough answer. Yeah. I usually answer everything to the T, but I really can't answer that question.
You got 1,000 VAs in the company. So the light bulb really went off bright when you hired your first VA. How did you manage to figure out you could create a business out of this and hire more to help you and then also to help other real estate investors?
Yeah. So first we tested with a company that was a very successful company. So we tested it. And then one of the things that we did, because I already helped start a couple of companies and create the training behind it. Mm-hmm. So light bulb went on. I said, all right, well, what happens if we, add virtual assistants into a training platform, just like I'm doing in my real estate business? It's like, all right, very easy. Teach them marketing, teach them admin, teach them social media, teach them transaction coordinating, teach them bookkeeping, like create all these different trainings. And then you could put the individuals inside those trainings, which are virtual assistants. And then, of course, you got to build a whole, infrastructure on top of that. But we tested, like I said, we tested it with a company for 2 years. And then at that point, we went on our own and then, hit the pavement running and, just looked at it. And one of the most important things that I think we talked about this. This is why I enjoy these podcasts because, you have a coaching program, but you have a successful business. I think it's very important for anybody. If anybody's going to invest in whether it's a service or a program, make sure that individual is using that service or program. Right. And I've always been like that. Even I used to sell a short sale course on stage, right? But I had to make sure I'm still doing short sales to be able to go on stage and sell it. I was running the short sale REO boot camp. I didn't do the REO side because I wasn't doing REOs. I just took care of the short sale side because I could have got the curriculum and still taught it, but it wasn't authentic to be able to do it, right? I stuck with the short sale stuff because I was doing it. I was negotiating with banks and all that kind of good stuff. So I
Yeah.
think that's a takeaway I think is very important. So if anyone's looking at that, look at individuals, Dean, like yourself. For us, I use my virtual assistants in my business, and the results speak for themselves. So I think that's important.
Yeah, that's huge. So let's just touch briefly, like what are the different things, because I want to highlight Riva Global. What are some of the things that your virtual assistants do that can help real estate investors?
Yep. I think a lot of it is, you look at our businesses, we all need leads. If you don't have leads, you're going to have a very difficult time in any business, right? It could be basket weaving. If you have no leads in basket weaving, you're screwed. So for us, I'll just give you an example, my own business, right? We have, I think on average, I got to check my stats, but I think we're averaging about 80 to 90 new leads a week, right? Pretty good volume.
That's solid. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're a lot of stuff we're doing cold calling, texting, and direct mail. That's what we're doing. I know there's other stuff like PPC, TV, radio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? But those are the main things that we do in our office. Like I said, I give you the number of text messengers we have and cold callers we have. Those drive majority of our leads. And then those leads go to our sales team, or we call them acquisition specialists. And then we also have 2 lead managers, which are VAs that follow up. So because what happens in our world is, you'll get 80 new leads a week. And then next week there's another 80. Then all of a sudden you have what are called unprocessed leads, which are leads that you've already paid for to come in, but you're cherry picking. You're going to the top, right? You're always going to what's new. Before you know it, now you got, X amount of leads, hundreds of leads in there. So we have our lead managers go through those, pre-screen them, see who's motivated. The only thing we're looking for is someone to raise their hand that says, yes, I'm motivated to sell. And then those leads will go to whoever's on your acquisition team, Dean, or whoever's on my acquisition team, or if it's me that wants to take that call, right? If I'm working with a smaller team and I'm one of the acquisition individuals. So those are some of the things that we do on that side of it. But we have virtual assistants that we teach, building buyers lists, contractors. We have a lot of property managers that use their service, any type of real estate professional, marketing companies, individuals that do TikTok content, a couple of different things, and social media management. So I know that's kind of a broad stroke, but
that's huge.
I wanted to give everyone a little look at what we do.
Yeah, that's a lot of different stuff. So I'm curious, if someone's just getting started and they're trying to figure out who's the first hire that I should make, right? I want to hire a virtual assistant. Who would you recommend that first hire is for someone who's like just getting started or they're ready for their first hire?
Someone who's going to drive leads to your business because you need leads. So I would say someone who cold call, pick up the phone, just calls all day long, or someone who text messages. I know you are RE Simply, right? You use?
Yep.
So I know they're adding a dialer in there. They also have records in there. You could skip trace in there.
Yep.
So that's all you need right there is using, a company like that. I know the owner is a real good dude. He's a great dude.
He is.
So so I'd recommend staying inside that platform if that's a platform that you use because you have the records, call them leads, right? They're not really leads yet. They're records. It's data. Then you can have skip trace. Then you have a phone number, but you need someone to either call and text. That's what I would do first. That and direct mail. I mean, there's other stuff, of course, many people can do, but you need leads in your business. So that's what I'd focus on first.
Yeah, we're in marketing and sales. So you need leads, got to focus there. And like you said, if you can take that responsibility and hand it off to someone else and get you focused on talking to the people, which is going to generate the deal and the revenue and make the money, the sooner you can do that, the better. No question about it.
Correct. Yeah. And we train all of our virtual assistants. They go through about a month of training. So they're trained on cold calling. They're trained on overcoming objections, rebuttals, etc. So pretty cool.
Awesome, man. Well, hey guys, if you want to check out Riva Global, you just go to rivaglobal.com. I'm assuming there's a form they can go on there to fill out and connect with someone on your team.
Yeah, we have a strategy session. So just go on to Riva Global, REVAglobal.com. We have an admissions team that will definitely get on a call with you just to see what the best uses that you need in your own business, because everyone's got a different business. So, you may be a solopreneur, you may have a team, you may want to outsource stuff right away, hold off. Some of you may want part-time, some of you may want full-time. So definitely check it out.
Yeah. and not all VAs are created equal, just like any employee. So I know you guys have like a rigorous process of how you train and get people up to speed and have them ready to actually perform and help you in your business. So definitely check them out. Well, Bob, aside from being really, really ridiculously good looking, like in Zoolander, you've got such a great story, man, such a great track record, accomplished so much. And I know you're still in the trenches, doing the business and doing what you preach. So really a pleasure to have you on, man. Guys, you can check out rivaglobal.com or go check out Bob on Riva Global VA on Instagram. And man, any last words?
No, I just appreciate having me on. And, I think the biggest takeaway on anything that we all do, whether it's, jumping into a new industry, you got to take action. You got to follow up. You got to consistently move forward, right? Because if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. And this is an incredible market. I'll be honest with you, this industry, there's no better way to make money, my opinion. Yeah. I could go back and look at any other industry. You and I could have both been sales, medical sales or pharmaceutical sales, whatever. But you know what? There's no better industry where you have the free time as well as once you set your business up correctly. And the amount of money that you make on deals is ridiculous. So that's a takeaway, but you got to take action. You got to get started.
Yes, sir. Well, Bob, super duper pleasure, man. Appreciate you being here. Until next time, everybody. Peace.